The comedy show continues. The ongoing streaming comedy of the Mormon religion, if you want to call it that, never ends. I'm trying to be just a simple, ordinary little guy. I don't look for trouble. I don't want trouble. I really want to be a peaceful person. But you know, I have limits. I do have limits. When people are bullies, I guess I go bullshit. I just don't like bullies, and I don't care in what form they come. I really have an over response to bullies. Well, anyway, the comedy of this group it is unbelievable. They really should run a comedy show rather than a religious show. They would make much more money. Anyway, I get up this morning. I don't even go out of the house. And I'm going to flash these quickly because the Danites, and of course the Mormons, they have cameras. They have the most modern FBI, CIA cameras in the world. And as soon as I hold this up, no matter how quick I turn, they'll be able to stop it. They'll be able to read who I'm talking about, where this is located. But look what I found on my damn door this morning. You get that? Oh, let me turn them backwards. We have a great big huge sign out front of our condominium complex that says in red, no solicitation. Well, the Mormons can read, but they just can't obey. So a couple of months ago, there was some nice young Mormon missionaries, and I don't blame them. They're in a cult, and they don't know it. And the cult is using their youth and their stamina, and they're using their missions for brainwashing, so they'll be good leaders later on. And I approached the two, this happened to be young men, and I simply said, are you going from door to door? And they said, oh yeah, we are. And I said, well listen, there's a big red sign out front that says no solicitation. And he said, well, we're not soliciting. I said, wait a minute. What is the definition of solicitation? I said, are you asking people to join your church and give you 10% of their gross income for the rest of their life? Well, and of course, they're never asked those questions, so they don't have answers for them. And they said, well, we're not soliciting. Oh, okay. So, they are soliciting. I think the one side of the brain knows that they are, and they know that. The other side is the cult. They've already brainwashed them into thinking that knocking on your door, like the Jehovah's Witness, and handing you the watchtower, if it says don't solicit here, that's solicitation. Well, they don't think it is. And the Mormons, if you've seen any of my other tapes, you know that the Mormons don't obey the law. They believe in God's law, and God says they can do whatever the hell they want. It doesn't matter what your city or your state or your federal government says. Screw them. Just say, I'm Mormon, show them your garments, and walk through. So, I call on the card. It's like 7:30 in the morning. And I called this man and I said, is this who you are? And he says, yes. And I said, well, this is me. I identified myself very clearly. And this is my address, which I identify very clearly. And I said, you put a flyer on my doorknob this morning. And he said, well, I didn't put it on there. See, here's the Mormon. I wish my head could spin around. His name and his picture and his wife's picture and his kids' pictures are all on this political solicitation. So rather than addressing, they never address the principle. They never, they're taught to deflect. It's like throwing a rock on a piece of steel. It's not going to penetrate their minds. It's just not. So rather than him saying, well, gee, I didn't mean to be offensive. My staff probably hung that there, and I apologize if that was offensive, and we'll certainly make note of that and not do it again. That's not what Mormons do. Mormons say, well, I didn't put it on there. I said, well, maybe one of your staff put it on there. Said, well, I don't know. Jesus. This looks like the O.J. Simpson trial, so I can see this guy I'm going nowhere. I'm going absolutely nowhere. trying to defend my property and my property rights. They don't have a right to be hanging solicitation, especially when we put the sign out front. So he said, well, political solicitation is exempt from the city law. He's running for the city council. Jesus. So they exempt themselves from the law. So if Pizza Hut comes in and tries to give you a free pizza, oh, they're in trouble. But if the Mormon missionaries come in and try to steal 10 or 15% of your gross income for the rest, that's okay. We exempted them. So I said to him, I don't think you are exempt. He says, well, we are. Now, see, the Mormons are bullshitters. You got to be very, very careful because they can look you flat ass in the eye and they've got their suit and their tie on and they're just speaking like they know it's the truth. And they really think it is the truth. That's why they're so convincing, because when you brainwash a person to believe a certain way, they automatically believe that it's true. I've come across this many, many times in the Mormon church with them saying things that are basically not true, but they think they're true. Okay, well, let me go on. So I finally told him, I'll see the city attorney on this. Well, I wrote to the association. They hate me because I don't let the Mormons come in here and harass anybody. And I told the Mormon missionaries, I said, you know what? You're welcome to come in here and visit people that you're invited to visit, but you're not welcome to pound on doors and try to make people members of your church. That's solicitation. Well, that went on, and I called the city attorney. I went over and saw the city attorney, and then I called the stake president, and he was obnoxious to me. And finally, I threatened to sue the church, and lo and behold, that very famous law firm that defends the Mormon church in Salt Lake City sent me a letter. And they say, we're not soliciting. And I said, yes, you are soliciting. And even if you don't believe it because you're brainwashed in this cult, it is solicitation. And if you hang that crap on my door again because you represent these people, I'm going to sue you, not the people, because you just said in your letter you represent them. So obviously you have control over them to obey the law. Well, they finally wrote back and said, you know, you're right. And the only thing that changes Mormon doctrine or people is when you threaten to sue them or you threaten to expose them and the silly antics that they're involved in. Now, let me close this video with just one thing that I think is fascinating, and I don't know if other people have discovered this or not about the Mormon Church, but they have many, I've told you in my other videos, they have many secret ways of communicating. You know, like the 7th grade girls used to pass notes, and now they just have iPods. But in my day, they used to pass notes, and they would have secret things. They'd put the names on backwards or this or that, and pig Latin, and trying to exclude other people from knowing what the communications are. Well, the Mormons are famous for that. I live in the state of Utah, and I told you in my other videos, they will have big signs on businesses, and they'll say, closed on Sunday. And it's a big sign. It's not just a little sign on the door, but it's a big sign on the door. That means we're Mormons. Closed on Sunday because the Mormon Church doesn't want you to shop on Sunday. So that is one of the signals and signs in the community. And then, of course, no smoking. As soon as you pick up the paper and you try to rent or you try to engage in some business practices in the state, it'll say non-smoking. Non-smoking. That's an absolute sign. It's a Mormon that's in charge of giving you a job or giving you rental. And if you're a smoker and you're a drinker, or just maybe you're a regular person and you don't smoke and you don't drink, you're not welcome there. So they have secret ways of communicating, and I find them hilarious. I find them like 7th grade girls giggling and thinking that they're putting something over on the teacher. And maybe they are. Maybe some of you people think that that's, you know, the way to live. I don't. Well, anyway, let me address this last thing here, okay? Now, you know the Mormons have their magic underwear, and many Mormons are trained to see that happy face. They call it a happy face underneath their clothing. And you can see it here. It comes over here to their shoulders, and you can see that line. And on the men and the women, if they're wearing pants, you can see the knee part of the garment. Well, the Mormons immediately identify that. So if you go to court in Utah and you don't have garments on, and you're facing a jury, supposedly of your peers, years and they don't see that, you might as well just bend over and kiss your ass goodbye. You're going to be down in the state penitentiary. And the judge is the same way. I have appeared. I'm not just making this up. I've appeared in front of the immigration judge here in Salt Lake City. And he was the state president. And when I told him he should recuse himself from the trial because of his religion, oh my God, he went bullshit on me, and I almost got cited for contempt just asking him to step down and not hear this because he's a Mormon. Well, you know, they have a lock on the community. They have a lock on the education. They have a lock everywhere. Well, here it is on this political. Now, how do I know? Because he uses his middle initial. That is the secret code and sign of the Mormon Church. They'll say Ray R. Smith, Jeannie M. McAllister. They use that middle initial that immediately there is nothing on this political advertisement that shows he's a Mormon. Nothing. Except he puts his middle initial in his name. Bam! Every Mormon in the world knows he is an active member of the Mormon Church, and they should vote for him. Especially, I'm not going to get political because I'm not political. But anyway, they should vote for him and his party because he has a middle initial. So again, a lot of people who don't know the Mormons or who've never lived with them or been around them, and because Mitt Romney is running for office, and there's much more interest in trying to find out what these people believe and don't believe, and how they act. People don't know these things. They don't know that it's a secret to put that middle initial in there. That signifies I'm an active member of the Mormon Church. I wear temple garments. I pay my tithing. And you and I are in the same cult. Please vote for me because we don't want those evil, devilish people like David running for public office. So be careful. Know these people. Don't listen to what they say. Don't listen to a word they say. Look at how they act. Look at their history. Look at their doctrine. Look at their discriminatory practices. Look at the way they treat women. Look at the way they handle incest and handle child molestation. Look, look, look. It takes time to investigate something that is this important. But I'm just giving you a hint here. If you see the middle initial being used, that is a secret sign that Mormons use to identify other cult members. Thanks.